Hi, I'm Abbey Hoskins, and welcome to Girl Power. This is a series where we highlight women in our community who are making a difference. Today, we're going to be sitting down with April True. She is quite literally the backbone of our community. She is busy and wears many hats, and I can't wait for you to hear her story. Before we jump into it, though, I'd like to highlight our sponsors, Cavell, Tees, Kim Breeden, Shelter Insurance, and June and Beyond. Hey, April, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Abby.
So for people meeting you right now, can you tell us who you are and what your life looks like currently?
All right. My name is April True. I'm a traditional naturopath, a complementary alternative health practitioner, meaning I do a lot of holistic and alternative modalities to keep people well, to support their health. Mm-hmm. Also a specialized kinesiologist, that falls into that category also. A business owner, downtown business owner, and I own True Wellness, and I also own True Swing Golf here in downtown. And then my husband, Danny, and I, we own several other businesses with rentals, commercial spaces that we rent out. Mm-hmm. And he is owner of True Construction. So we have those businesses that we run. We stay busy. And I guess you could call me a serial entrepreneur. And right. I have a new LLC that I'm getting ready to kick off. I'm excited about that. Don't necessarily have the time, but it's something I think will run itself.
Right.
So as far as what my life looks like now, of course, I'm married to Danny. We've been married 32 years.
That's awesome.
I met him when I was in high school. So we went to prom together and all the stuff. And we have 2 boys. They are young men. I will always call them my boys. Mm-hmm. Have Lane, who's 28, and Logan, who just turned 25. And we have a 4.7-pound Yorkie that runs our entire household.
They do that.
She's 16 years old, and oh my goodness, we don't know how much more time we have with her, but yeah, she completely runs our household. And life is just a little busy right now. I blessed, very blessed.
Right.
I am a Christian, and I give all the glory to God, because this doesn't just happen. I mean, there's a lot of hard work that goes into what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my relationship with God's very important in my prayer life. And so, yeah, that's kind of what life looks like right now.
It's a little busy, but
it's a good busy, and we try to spread everything out and not overdo. We spend a lot of time together as husband and wife. Mm-hmm.
Owning a business with your husband, that is incredible.
It is. And, we even built our house together. We say we're just a little odd in that sense. We spend a lot of time together.
Right. 2 peas in a pod.
We really get along great. We really do. So it just seems natural to us. So
absolutely. Whatever works. Yeah. And yeah, he's great too. So tell me a little bit about how you were raised. What did your childhood look like, and what were values modeled to you growing up?
Gosh, I have amazing parents, and I was raised on a dairy farm.
Oh,
so
cool.
Hard work. Very few vacations, because you have a dairy farm. That's the way it is.
Right.
And not only did we milk Holsteins, we also put up our own hay. So we planted and cut and baled, and I did all the stuff. I have an older brother and a younger brother. Mm-hmm. And I think girls that are raised with only boys,
you figure it out
You're
fast.
a survivor. You are a survivor. And so I was raised very well-rounded, because not only did my mom teach me all this stuff, my dad did too. So I can cook. I don't shy away from anything in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I can sew. I can do all of those things. I can knit. I can play piano.
Mm-hmm. You're a jack of all trades.
It's really strange. It really is. And then I can go, I can change the oil in my car. I can fix a flat. I can drive the tractors. I can milk the cows. I've delivered calves. I've castrated calves. It's just, I can do all of it. And I just don't shy away from that.
Right.
And so that was the values we had. We were raised in a Christian home, and we were raised to do the right thing, no matter what, no matter if anybody's watching or not. Always loved, mm-hmm. and supported no matter what we wanted to do. And I was not necessarily, we laugh about this because my mom had, the boys were blonde haired and blue eyed, and she wanted a blonde hair, blue eyed baby girl.
And here you are, the brunette.
Came out screaming, dark hair, dark eyes, and she was sure I was switched at birth.
Yeah.
And I was loud and I had to keep up with those boys. And so I was always out fishing and hunting and doing all this stuff with them.
She got the tomboy.
She really did. And she loved me through all of it. She told me several years ago, she said, "You're not what I thought I wanted," but she said, "You were everything I needed," which was really special. Because my parents are amazing people and are always supportive. And that family, I remember sitting down and eating family meals. And my grandpa was a third parent to me. He lived on the dairy farm with us. And there was 6 of us all the time eating dinner. And so it was special. I loved that life, being out in nature. I was just where I was happy at.
Right.
And so that really, it made marrying into a construction family pretty seamless, because
you're used to the hard work. Yeah.
I'm used to the hard work. And people find it odd that, on Christmas Eve, we're inside a building working, or maybe even Christmas Day. Well, that's when that factory's closed down. That's when that bank is closed down. And so that's when we work.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing with the dairy farm. You get up at 4:00 in the morning and open your Christmas presents, and you go to the dairy barn. That's the way it is. There's no, the animals depend on you. And so that job just seamlessly, we just went right into it. And it wasn't I didn't have to adapt to that, but but I'm well-rounded as far as that goes with how I was raised in that.
So what did your school years look like?
School years. Well, I went to school at Conway, so just down the road. Love Conway, Morgan. Love that area. Love those people there. School, it's a tiny school, and still in contact with a lot of those people. Had a lot of memories. I always tried to fit in. I was just a different girl because
you were raised on the farm.
I did all of those things. And it wasn't until probably after Danny and I were married, I really started building that confidence in who I was and not trying to fit into a certain, because every time I tried to fit in somewhere, I didn't like it. It wasn't me. So I found that confidence in myself just to be me. And I was tall. I'm a tall girl. And so towering over the boys in school was not fun.
Did you play basketball or volleyball?
Oh, yeah. Basketball, volleyball. I loved all that. I'm competitive. I still am today. And I played softball when I was younger. And I loved all of that stuff. But yeah, that's what school was like. And my brother David was 8 years older than me. So I knew some of his friends, and he could have hung the moon because he was just the super cool older brother.
Right.
So he was in high school and going to college when I was in grade school. And then Eric and I were just, we were probably just a bunch of feral kids running around the farm. But yeah, we had a great childhood. We really did.
So you said you met Danny in school. Was that in high school?
It was, when I was in high school, he was not. And actually I wasn't allowed to date anybody outside of high school.
Really?
So I fibbed to my parents and I didn't tell Danny that. And I met him when I moved here. We moved off the family farm. I'd lost my grandpa. I was not a happy teenager going through all that because my grandpa's death was, it was just extremely hard on me.
Right.
And then I didn't want to move to Lebanon at all. I did not want to be here. This was big. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be here. It wasn't the farm. And but I knew we needed to, and we did. So I met him here, and I was just, an angry teenager that didn't care about much.
Right.
And he was patient, and I didn't tell him I fibbed to my parents. And then I think it was his 21st birthday. We were talking about his birthday. I was 17 when I met him. And he ended up talking to my parents. My parents, they just thought the best of him. They just adored him.
Right.
And he was talking about his birthday, and I thought, oh, wow.
Here it is. It's going to come out.
I'm going to get in trouble. And then I think it was my mom looked at me and kind of caught on to what was happening. I was like, I'm hoping it's too late and they really like him. Because I do. And then I told him later, I said, I'm not allowed to date anybody out of school, and I've just been lying to them. He still talks about how you didn't even tell me you lied to your parents, and he just walked right in it. But
that is so funny. I guess it worked out for the best.
It did. We dated, and then we married. I was young. I look at it now and I think, oh my goodness, I was so young. I did not want to go away to college. I didn't ever have that desire to.
Right.
I felt like, for me, I felt like it was a waste of time. The schooling was so slow paced. And I thought, I feel like that's a waste of my time. I can learn and get an education a different way, faster, and multitask. And so we had a business. We started when I was 18. And Danny was 22, and we lost that business. And then we kind of talked about that with the 229 project.
Right.
I licked my wounds. We both did. And he, was working construction, and I went out and joined the workforce, and I decided I'll do some schooling. And I went to work at Copeland. I was a welder.
Oh,
and
wow,
I
welder.
know,
Oh my
still
gosh.
part of that well-rounded, I don't do normal things. And I went to school while I was doing that. And then it was about 4 years later when we had Lane, our firstborn. So I did that for a while. And so that's kind of how that all worked out.
Yeah, that's funny. So the transition into motherhood, did you continue working through all of that, or what did that look like?
That was my plan, was to do it all. And I was working in quality at that time at Copeland, and my plan was to advance there. And then I held that baby, and I just lost it. And I thought, if there's any way we can do this, I don't want someone else to raise him.
Right.
And it was a struggle. We didn't have much. And it was a struggle. And we thought, well, we'll figure it out. And I went in and gave my notice, and they offered me a really nice raise. And I turned it down and thought, oh, what am I doing? Like, this is really good money. But I did. I stayed home with my boys for like 13 years. And I was worried, because your career comes to a standpoint, really.
Right. And it's hard to get back out there after you have such a gap in your resume.
It is hard. People look at that. I did, toward the end of staying home with them, went back and took some college classes. I loved doing Columbia University. It was at the Fort. I would drive there because their semesters, it was 8 weeks long. By fourth week, you're taking your midterms. I was like, oh, I love this, because it was just, I felt like I was getting somewhere. I was getting done quickly, and loved that, and thought I'd go into business. And then I was like, oh, I really don't want to do business. Business does not interest me at all. I don't like this part of it. And then I thought, I thought I'd go into teaching. And so that I headed that direction.
So teaching, did you ever actually get to be a teacher?
I was an academically at-risk kindergarten para, and I loved it. I said it was the best of teaching. I had a small classroom. I made lesson plans, and the goal was to bring those kindergartners up academically with their peers so that they'd never have to be retained.
Oh, wow.
And so I loved it. It was small classroom size, like anywhere, sometimes just one student, but like 1 to 5.
Super meaningful work.
Right. And, get them where they needed to be so they could be successful the rest of their school career. And so I did that for 5 years until my health took a drastic turn. And, so then I had to step away from that.
Right. So your health, what did that look like? How did that turn? If you don't mind to share.
Oh, it's okay. I share this because this is how I got it. This is how True Wellness came to be. I was in January, and I can't quite remember the year. Maybe I 13 or 14. I can't quite remember. There's a lot of that I don't remember. I thought I had the flu, and because kindergartners are little petri dishes.
Oh yeah,
that's just the way it is.
Right into your eyeball.
Absolutely, and you just okay. Thank you. And I went to the doctor. Logan was we had a house full of boys. It was his birthday weekend. So we had all these kids over. And I told Danny that night, I said, I just don't feel really well. I said, I'm probably getting something that's going around school. And the next morning I woke up, and my hands were all swollen. I was scared half to death. I'd never had that happen. I was in so much pain, and I just had tears rolling down my eyes. And he's like, okay, let's get these boys home, because we were taking them home anyway. So we got them all delivered home. We didn't want the boys to be upset, and I ended up, I think that Monday the kids had off. It was Martin Luther King Day. They were off from school. And so I went to the doctor. I was like, something is going on, and I'm not a person that gets the flu.
Mm-hmm.
I just hardly ever do. I think I've had it once in my life, honestly.
You are a lucky duck.
Yeah, that's what I hear because I see people get it.
Yeah.
And so I told them. They said, I don't think that's what's going on. And I was there for about an hour and a half, and I just went in. Danny wasn't there, and I was there forever. It was what it felt like. And they were doing all these tests, and they're like, we got to figure out what's going on. And they said, we think you have some type of, like probably a rheumatoid arthritis. And I was like, what in the world? I am in my 30s. That's rude. And I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what's going on. I just knew I felt pretty miserable. And by the time I came out, Danny was pulling in the parking lot because he's like, you have been gone for so long. And it was probably pushing 2 hours at that point in time. And I was like, well, this is what they think this is, and I'm scared to death. What is going on? Why would I have that, And so it was just specialist after specialist after specialist, St. Louis, all over Missouri. Ended up at the Mayo Clinic eventually years later. I did all the stuff the doctors wanted me to do for 6.5 years. I didn't drive anywhere. I quit driving. I was so scared I would fall asleep. I was so exhausted. I'd sleep 18, 20 hours a day and not feel rested at all. Then I would dehydrate because I wasn't eating, wasn't drinking, but I was gaining weight, which was odd. Everything was just
so out of whack.
An absolute mess. And it hit our family hard. Danny was the immediate caretaker of everything. There's that whole time, there's things that happen we don't even remember. It was hard on the boys. Lane, his last 2 years of his high school career were not okay. He got sick, and I think probably seeing his mom in the shape that she was did not do him any favors at all. And understanding that now, I've learned so much since then, and it was a really, really hard time. And I remember being excited to get to the Mayo Clinic and get some help, and they had no idea what to do.
That is crazy.
No idea what to do. And so at some point, they wanted me to take a cancer infusion because they thought maybe it'll kill off these B cells and reset your body. But it was awful, the side effects. And I'd already been taking all the biologics, and they had done their damage to my body, and then they wouldn't work. And so I ended up deciding finally my quality of life was bad enough that it was taking a toll on Danny and the boys, and so I was going to go ahead and do the infusions. And they said, well, let's do some blood work. Let's see. And then they came back and they said, you can't do these infusions. You're not healthy enough. And I was furious. I was absolutely furious. I said, I've been doing everything every doctor has told me, and all I'm doing is getting worse. I'm dying. I'm literally dying here. And I stepped away from that. And I said, you tell me right now how to taper off of all this medication, or I'll do it myself. And they said, slow down. We'll tell you how to taper off. I said, I want off of all of it. And I just felt like I needed to do a reset.
Right.
And I thought, this is not what God had in mind for me. I know it's not. I just know it's not, because I was so exhausted. I would pray, and I was like, God, I can't do this on my own. I cannot do this on my own at all. I have to have help. And it was just such a vicious cycle. You couldn't move because you were so tired, but you needed to move. And I just couldn't ever get it all. I didn't have the energy to get it all together to do all the things I needed to do to get healthy. And so I had that little window where I got really upset, where there was no other options. And I was like, there's got to be something else out there. And we started looking. And Danny had a friend tell him about a kinesiologist in town. And that was Brooke Sebchak. And he's like, you've got to get April here. You're looking at the body in a complete different way than what medical does, and you've got to get her there. And so I called and made an appointment, and I went there, and I was like, I have no idea what just happened.
I think I felt like that the first time I came to you.
And I tried to warn people. I was like, this is not normal in the States. Everywhere else, yes, this is what they do. It's completely normal.
Right.
And I left from that appointment, and I drove home in complete silence, which, if you know me, I adore all genres of music. So I'm always listening to music, and I just sat in peace and quiet and was trying to process and thought, I don't know. And Danny wasn't able to go with me to that appointment. And I said, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And so I get home, and he said, well, what'd she do? And I was like, yeah, nope. I don't have the words to explain that. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, so there was my arm and there was places she touched on my shoulders, and in my arms and in my hands and feet. And that's all I've got. And then he said, well, how do you feel? And I said, I don't have any pain from my knees down. And at that time, I'd had that pain for 6.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And we just stopped and cried. We were and we just dropped to the floor and just started crying because we were like, oh my gosh, how can an hour and a half I spent there talking, mostly kind of doing an intake, and I had relief like that. And
That's incredible.
Yeah, we just kept going in that direction. And then I remember thinking, I could learn to do this stuff because, again, I do everything. I don't back away from anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's a challenge. I thought I could do this. I have to go so much, and I'd love to be able to work on my boys and my husband because all the years, my family, they stood behind me that time I was so sick, and I didn't have anything to give to them. So I would love to do this. And so I talked to Brooke. She's like, absolutely, you can learn to do this. She's like, you need to learn to do this. Like, you've got to learn how to do this for yourself. And I said, okay. And so I started doing that. And I was just, this is what I was going to do. I wanted to go back to school with kindergartners. I wanted to teach a classroom. I was just going to keep moving in that fashion. And so God spoke pretty loud to me. And he said, you're going to do this. You're going to help other people. And I was like, oh, God, no. Thanks, but no.
Right. It's just
this is
me
weird.
And my family.
I don't want to have to explain it to people. This is out of my comfort zone. I just want to do it for myself, which sounds selfish now that I think about it. And I was like, I just want to take care of my little family and do my thing and go back to where I was nice and comfortable. And then I just moved on. About a couple of weeks later, one more time, and God has spoken to me a few times in my life, and it was the fatherly, you will do this. This is what the waiting area of your office will look like. And those verses you clung to while you were sick, those will be in that office space.
Oh, wow.
You will do this. And I just sobbed. And I thought, at that point, I could not argue. And I said, yes, sir. And then I told Danny, I was like, I've lost my mind. And we just started looking. I found a little space that was just a little teeny tiny space. I said, let's just tiptoe into this. And I tell people, honestly, that whatever God puts in front of me, that's where I go. That's where I learn. And sometimes something gets put in front of me and I'm like, no, that's not where he wants me to be right now. That's out of my reach. It's not meant for me right now. And so that's how that journey has gone. And then I just completely, opened True Wellness, and the name, I remember the lawyer saying, there's no way that name is not taken. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that's what we need to go with. That's what God and I had a conversation about.
Right.
And I wanted a name with an umbrella so I could pull anything under that umbrella, as long as it was, holistic, alternative, wellness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he came back and he said, I just can't believe this. I said, well, it's just,
meant to be. Yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing this. So I, completely expected the name to be okay. And so we got that all set up and started. And it has been amazing how many people are looking for something not to cover up symptoms. Like, we just don't take care of the symptoms. We've got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
and that's what I had to do for myself. Because it was not working. And, I still definitely have some autoimmune tendencies. I got bit by a tick this summer, and that knocked me on my hind end for a while.
Yeah.
My body tend to overreact sometimes. I have to take really good care of myself. I have to rest. I do have to slow down. And it's been a journey, but the people that have come in from that, and it is just, I always say I'm so amazed, and I don't know why God's led me. I mean, I know He's got that power, but it's fulfilling, and I get to help my family with that now. So
yeah, I can even speak to that. I know every time I would leave your office, I'd call my husband and be like, oh my gosh, I just feel so much better. And I can't explain what just happened, but I feel great. And it's crazy. You truly have a gift.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've been great too to tell me like things I can do at home, and like you can take this or this and go to Nature's Pantry and buy this. And so you're very helpful in that aspect too. You're not just, you actually want to see people well. You don't just want to get them in, take their money, send them on their way.
Oh, absolutely.
I so appreciated that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have people that call and they say, can I go on a payment plan? And I think, well, I don't charge very much. And I thought, man, if you need help, we'll work something out. And they'll ask how much I charge. And I tell them, they're like, oh, they've been to other people. And it's sad. There's still holistic people out there that will take your money.
Right.
And charge a lot of money and charge $10,000 to go through a whole protocol. And I don't do it. I don't do it. We don't do that. Nobody does that in my office. And so that was very important to me to try to help people. And now if I go to Kansas City and work, or if I go to Springfield and work, I charge what they would charge there, because then I would come in and undercut people. But I try to stay very competitive where people can afford to come in, because I don't carry insurance, because I get this, have to put this in there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not licensed. I don't treat. I don't diagnose. I don't prescribe. I don't do any things. Any of those things I do not do. And so I still want people to come in. Still want people to come in.
And so now you have a whole office full of girls. It's not just you, it's expanded.
It's crazy. There's 10 of us total. There's no room in the inn. There's no room in the inn. They said, are you expanding? And I just thought, I moved to that space. I really felt like God was leading me there. Shauna Mattis with Well-To-Do Somatic Therapy. Our clients actually put us in connection with each other, and they're like, you have to meet Shauna. And Shauna said, people were saying, you've got to meet April. You guys, you just work the same. And so we met, and then I said, so this is what's been laid in front of me. This is what I feel like I'm supposed to do with True Wellness. And so we moved to a little bit bigger space, and it was her and I. And we had some other people wanted to come in, and I'm really protective of that space.
Oh, absolutely.
Really protective. I said, we are the unicorn of a woman-run business, because there's 10 of us there, and we don't do drama. We just do not.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is supposed to be a place that is peaceful, and people feel that when they walk through those doors.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And so there's people that I thought, I just don't think it's going to be a good fit here. And we're the people that will come and lay hands and pray on you if you need it. And that's a little uncommon too. We have an in-out board in the back, because I was like, okay, we've got so many of us coming and going, and we don't know when to set the alarm. We started setting the alarm when people were in session, and so I have an in-out board to tell. And then so we always have some affirmations on there, some encouragement, a space for that, and then we have our prayer requests that we write on that board, because we know we're all praying for each other. But yeah, so I'm in there. Now Brooke has a space in there. She rents from me, which is, we've come full circle now, because she was the first kinesiologist I went to. And so Debbie Hilton is in there. She's going to be bringing a new QEEG modality, and it's working on the brain. She definitely knows a lot more about that than I do. Terribly excited. This is going to be for people that, even like kids that have reading issues, or people that have had strokes. Oh my goodness, I'm just so... that brain work is it's just exciting. We're going to put her in there somewhere. I told her, don't worry, we're going to make a space somehow.
Yeah, because you already knocked down a wall.
Oh yeah, we knocked down the walls. And so then in that space, Shauna was in that space too. She originally was in that space with me. And she does cranial sacral therapy, which is moving cerebral spinal fluid, and if there's blockages and with how that fluid runs through the body, getting it to move like it does. Probably not explaining it exactly as Shauna would. It is amazing. Work on concussions.
Really?
Oh, goodness. We work on all that stuff. And that is a beautiful modality for that. And getting the body to just a place of peace also. And then we have Rachel Dublin. She does deluxe laser solutions, and she does laser hair removal.
Cool.
She does tattoo removal, and she's bringing something new that she's getting ready to announce, and I'm thrilled about this. And I messaged her and I said, what is this? And she said, well, this is the idea that you gave me. So I'm going to let her tell that, but I'm really excited for this. And that laser hair removal is amazing.
I'm going to have to take note. Maybe that's what I want to ask for Mother's Day. Or
It is so worth it. It is. I told her, I said, look, this dark hair, I was like, I swear I'm half Viking. I really do. I could shave my legs twice a day. I've not shaved my legs in like probably almost a year, and they're just smooth, and I've not done my armpits or my bikini line. No. I absolutely love it. It is the best.
Okay, I'm convinced.
It is the best. It is absolutely the best. And you have to go back for a few sessions, but it is amazing. I forever grateful for her for that. And I have a grief and trauma counselor in there. Lori Schulte's in there, and she relocated from Liberty, Kansas City area. So I love having that. And so I had that little part of the building. And then this summer, we knew we had somebody that was going to their space. They were going to vacate their space, and they said, we're going to be moving out. And I said, okay. And so I thought, well, I either rent it out or does True Wellness go ahead and expand again? Do we knock down that wall and just take that whole side of the building up? And so I just thought about it. And when I talked about having that tick fever this summer, all of that was happening at the same time. And I remember sitting in bed at 2:00 one morning, just horribly sick. And I was talking to God, and I said, so if True Wellness needs to take this, you're going to have to help me out here. I am so sick. I need the burning bush. I need something. I don't even have the brain power to, go out and look or whatever. And I said, but if we need to rent it to someone else and that's your plan, we'll do that too. You got to help me out here, please. And so the next morning I was still sick, sitting in my recliner. I was all curled up, and it was about 9:00, and Sarah Morton texted me, and she's like, please call me. And I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody today. I don't feel good. I am so sick.
Right.
And I thought, okay, pull yourself together. She needs something. And so she called me, and she was just frazzled. She said, do you have any space for me? The space I was supposed to go to didn't work out, and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, yep, I've got a space for you. So texted Danny, and I was like, well, we're expanding. And so we're just going to take it on. And now everything's completely full. And so I also have Dr. Gretchen Bly. She's a chiropractor. And she does amazing work. She also does a little bit of craniosacral therapy, and she does some work with oil. So she's a different type of chiropractor, and she just does amazing work. Works on pregnant women for chiropractic too, and
Very
kids,
cool. That is
babies. It really is. It's a beautiful thing. So Sarah Morton is in there doing. She's an esthetician, and I had been seeing Sarah for probably about 5 years because I love that she uses plant-based products because we're really a lot more natural there. And then Lawana Henson, licensed massage therapist, came in here just recently over Christmas.
Oh, cool.
And so she's there. And now we have just started on one day a week. We have Marchbank is her last name. She is a midwife. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember her first name right now. That's horrible. I've just met her. Dr. Bly brought her in and said, she's at my Richland office. Can she come in? And I was like, yeah, let's do this. That feels right. Sounds right. Let's do it. And so I've just met her a couple times. So excited about that.
So bringing in a midwife.
Yes.
A lot of women are going to that too. My sister-in-law had both of her babies at home with a midwife, actually. And I think that is awesome.
I love it. I told Danny True I would do that all over again now, and I think it scares him half to death. But
Thankfully, I don't think he has to worry about that.
we're not worrying about any of that right now. But yeah, I absolutely love that. That is just, I don't know, just another added thing that we can do because we have the people that come in and they'll see multiple ones of us for different things that are happening, and it's fantastic.
That is incredible. Needed in this community for sure.
It is.
So I'm going to head into my next question. What's the part of your life right now that feels most meaningful to you?
There's several different avenues of that just because of the different aspects of my life.
Right.
I love seeing my boys moving on in life and needing us less and less, even though, that's hard.
Right, it is, yeah.
But I do love that. And I love that Danny and I love that the buildings that we work on, we work together. So we've always got something else in mind to do next and things that we're working on, and we checking on it. I love that part right now. He does True Construction. I do True Wellness for the most part, but we work on the golf. We work on the 229 project. So we're at 206 now doing all of that work, designing, getting things organized to get in there. And because we want to get them in there quick. We want to get Sparrow Ridge in there quick, get that restaurant going. And then, of course, still going on and supporting Ellie at Carmen's. So there's that aspect that I'm really proud of. I really love that part. And then True Wellness, just with the craziness going on with Logan, one of the girls, before they knew what was happening, I get text messages all day long, and there was someone that they had some type of a surgery, and I was wanting to say it was a back surgery. I can't remember. They had just had a surgery, and they just couldn't get past a point that they needed to with what was going on. They just could not get past it. And so she wanted to do something more holistic. So she came in and we're like, so the girls just kind of took that from me. They're like, so Brooke did some work and Shauna did some work. And, this lady, it was just, we were talking about it. She came in and it was hard for her to even move. And she stood right up out of her chair and walked out. And it was just to see that, and it's all ages. I mean, it's from babies, it's to end of life that we all see, and to see those huge changes in people, and they're so happy. And the animals, I love. I was worried about leaving kindergarten. I wasn't going to see kids, and I love kids. And God made sure we've got plenty of kids that come into that space, and the animals too. I know Sean Clearbrook is right across there from us with Electronic Solutions. He's like,
yeah.
He said, I saw all these dogs walk into your office. I was like, yeah, I'm working on them. And, and he's like, there was a cat the other day.
And you told me you had a pig one time.
I went and worked on a pig. Yes. And cows and horses. And, you just think about what we do is God designed the body, and it's so amazing and intricate. And I don't ever think I have it figured out. I mean, I know better than that. But sometimes when I think I get a hold on something, and then I step back and I was like, it's just how it's all woven together is just absolutely amazing. And you can watch babies and young kids, and you can watch animals and see, they don't have all the preconceived notions we do that, I don't understand how this works. This doesn't make sense. I've always been told to listen and respect doctors and to do this and not question anything. And you can step by, it's like, something's not working. I feel like I need to do something more. And, these kids will go up to mom and dad and say, I need to go see Miss April. I need a reset. And animals will, lay on the PEMF device, and they'll lay on that for a little bit, and then they get up and they're like, okay, I'm done. And they feel better, and they walk without the arthritic tendencies. That type of stuff. To see, you can't argue with that.
Right.
You see that. We tend to question it more, but I absolutely love when people give us those stories. Like, I've had pain. I've not slept for so long. I've, whatever. My job is to fire myself, honestly. And so that is absolutely, I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
Proud of that space, that it just runs so well. And,
You're making a difference.
I hope so. I think so. We have so many people that come in there. So
No, you definitely are. So that'll lead me into my last question. What's one piece of advice you'd give to women younger than you?
Let's see. Stay true to who you are. Absolutely. Find where you're comfortable in your own skin. Don't shy away from a challenge. Learn. I learn all the time. I swear, I've always got a backpack on. I've got my laptop. I'm learning something new all the time. Don't get into that complacent, I've learned this thing and that's what I'm going to do. I just feel like there's so much more out there that you can take advantage of and learn and provide that, that knowledge in all different aspects of your life. And find that guy that is absolutely, builds you up no matter what, and supports you no matter what, loves you no matter how awful you look or how awful you are sobbing and crying. This last year's been rough on us. We lost Danny's dad and oh gosh. It's been rough, and we made it through it, and we're still not through it. Yesterday would have been his birthday. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
But we all went out and had ice cream. I was like, oh my gosh, I just had ice cream for dinner. But it's what he would have done. And we talk about how proud he would be of us. But, the family I have is the family that was modeled for us. And we're very, oh golly, sorry. I'll get through in just a minute. Still part of the grieving process.
Absolutely.
But the family that was modeled for Danny and the family that was modeled for me, and that love, there's so much support there. And then that's what, find that guy that is your biggest cheerleader and will pick you up when you're down and say, you got to get up. You got to get up and go and figure this out. So
yeah, you guys are absolutely just two peas in the pod. You're a package deal. And
we really are. Yeah. We're good. We're really good together. And I guess advice for younger women, don't settle. Just that person that loves you and that you choose to spend your life with should just absolutely wrap you up and, protect you and respect you, what you're doing. And also call your bluff.
Yeah.
And say, listen, I know this is what's going on, but that's uncalled for. So, yeah, you also have to have that person that makes you toe the line, too. And,
yeah, that's important
You
advice.
have to do that for each other in those relationships, and surround your people with your people that build you up. Women have got to build each other up. There's no room for people that are going to talk about you, that are going to knock you down. You should want someone in your life that builds you up and makes you successful. And you've got to surround yourself, because the people you surround yourself with are who you will be like.
April True, you need to write a book.
I don't have time. And I'd get so emotional.
Yeah. I would read it though.
Okay.
Thank you for sitting down with us today. This has been another episode of Girl Talk. And if you don't know April, you absolutely need to. I'm pretty sure she can help you with literally anything.
Thank you.
This episode of Girl Power is brought to you by Covell, Flowers, Espresso, Bakery, and Gifts, Kim Breeden and the crew at Shelter Insurance, June and Beyond Women's Boutique, and Tees Custom Apparel. Thank you for being a proud sponsor of Girl Power.